Go ahead. Make my day.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Risa. So, this video was supposed to go up last night, and I had it all planned out, the structure, everything. I had everything going, and then adulting happened, and I have my kids and random chaos in life, and it just didn't happen. Subscribe for your regular dose of intriguing stories and thought-provoking conversations. And remember, always be unapologetically you.
Before we dive into today's content, we want to clarify that everything you're about to see and hear is intended for educational and documentary purposes under the fair use doctrine. We strive to provide thoughtful analysis, transformative commentary, and historical context to the subjects we cover. Any copyrighted material, including videos, images, and music, is used in accordance with fair use guidelines. All content is meant to be a critical reflection, and we do not claim ownership of any original works unless explicitly stated. If you're the owner of any material featured and would like to discuss its use, please reach out to me directly. Enjoy the show, and remember, this channel is all about exploring the untold stories both past and present, the gritty details, and the history that shapes our world.
Hey y'all, it's just Risa. Okay, so this video was supposed to go up last night, and I had it all planned. The structure was there, but between adulting, my kids, random chaos, it just hasn't happened. And then there's so much just coming out from nowhere. And every time I see something, it's just more and more and more. But yeah, this morning, our power went out for 2 hours. I wish I was kidding, but no. Our little town has power issues quite often. We have bad drivers who like to run into the power line poles. B, our power lines are all overhead for the most part. So any of the weather, when it blows or anything like that, it can cause trees to get in it or fall into our power lines. And then we've had 2 weeks ago with the tornado, we had lightning strike one of the main substations, transistors and stuff, and it took them like almost a day and a half to fix part of town that lost power. Yeah, we just always have power issues. And then our power guys are awesome. They will actually come out and trim your trees at midnight because the neighbors' trees are in the power lines, and it's making the power lines spark up, like Back to the Future sparked up, because that has happened to me. I was seeing it. I was like, oh, this is bad. Like, that house's tree is going to catch on fire behind my house, and they won't come out at midnight. Our power guys are awesome. But some of the contractors, they like to not look before they dig, and they also like to cut our power lines and our internet lines. And it's just always a big old mess around here. But that's just my part of the world. Yeah, it's a little bit of this Wild West over here still. And you know, when the power goes off, everything you're doing just kind of stops. Editing, you really can't do. My internet went down. I could not make coffee. I had to go get Subway to eat lunch because I had no way to cook lunch. Yeah, it's just been a long day already. So adulting while creating on YouTube, for real, it is no joke. Especially when you are parenting and juggling actual life stuff on top of that. I really got up this morning and I took my son to the gym for workout at 6:45, came back home, took my younger son to a robotics camp he's doing, came back home, went and got my older son at the gym, came back home, went and got my younger son at robotics, then had to go get Subway and come back home. So yeah, life is nuts. And I have to go in a little bit. I'm doing this on purpose this way today because I want to be in my chat when I release things if I can, especially the one I want to do this evening. And I have a meeting at 7 p.m. here for our football league. a little bit of anxiety because Mr. 41-year-old man-child down the street that threatens our family, we don't know if he's going to show up. He's the one who was stealing money out of our organization that was for our kids, little kids football league. If you've heard my story, you've heard my story. So I will tell you later if he actually showed up or not and how our meeting went, because I think I'm a little antsy. That's why I'm a little antsy, just because of that. It's coming up. And, you know, as always, I do things my way instead of like everybody else. I'm just Teresa. I do life my way. It's not always like everybody else. So I need to say this really quickly before I move on. The way I do videos, I try to, when I'm doing videos, I like to do pre-records, and my video is not actually live, but the chat is live. So if you would like to ask questions, drop a comment, please do it in the comments. If I'm there in the live, I will be talking and I will address it, just not live on the screen. If I miss it because I'm not there, I will respond later when I get a chance. My channel is a little bit different because of doing pre-record lives and not actual lives. I don't have time in my real life with having a career and everything to do all these lives all the time, but I will try to be in the chat as much as possible, and I will definitely respond to comments when they're needed. And, you know, hey, if you're new here and you like what I'm doing, consider subscribing, sharing, or just giving me at least some feedback, because it helps me out more than you think. I'm always kind of like freaking out that somebody thinks I'm a big idiot, but, you know, I just do me. I don't know how I come across sometimes. So do tell me. I would love some feedback. Even if it's negative, I just love feedback. So since I'm not monetized, it also gives me a different look and a different pace. And I really respect anybody who does manage to turn this into a full side hustle and have a career, or turn this into a full-time career, because that's all a whole other level. I highly respect those of you who are making it work and succeeding despite all of the obstacles that are in your life or out here in the YouTube streets. If you've seen my last few videos, you already know it's been snowballing out here in YouTube land. And I said that a few days ago, and yeah, it's still rolling, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And some people, it's starting to crash out. And there are things that are being said about me. Some of them are wild, some of them are petty, some of them are dumb, some are actually really serious. Some are just a difference in opinion, and some come from a place of disrespect, even racism or prejudice. I've had demands thrown at me, power struggles, and honestly, some behavior that should make people think twice about who they support and what they post. So this live's going to be short and simple and straight up. Just me checking in before I drop the real video you want to see. That's long coming. I keep finding more, and it's going to be a good one, I promise. So there have been some serious demands and wild accusations and behavior behind the scenes, and that you won't even believe. If you know, you know. Some of it's real petty, some of it's very heavy, and yeah, Maggie is involved in a lot of it. But this goes way beyond just her. What's really at play here, it feels a lot like a modern day cyber war. It's real messy, it's strategic, and it echoes the power struggles we see in real life conflicts, in the wars that are fought over names, reputation, control. It's just like in the past, and even right now in our world with war. And I'm not spilling all the tea just yet. But just trust me, the video later, it's really sharp. It's very personal, and it's got a lot of teeth. You won't see it all coming, and it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. So YouTube is not the Wild West. People think you can say whatever you want, post whatever you want, and just hide behind opinion or anonymity. That's not how it works. There are actual consequences, especially when you name people, spread lies, use other people's work without credit, or encourage targeted harassment. That's where copyright, defamation, and even criminal law starts to get involved.
Something on YouTube that everyone gets affected by, but most people don't know deeply. And we're going to try to help you today understand the YouTube copyright system and how you can avoid getting one of the dreaded strikes here on The Boost by vidIQ. Jen, we're going to talk about something really important today.
Okay, it's happening.
YouTube copyright claims and strikes. Have you ever gotten a claim before?
I get claims all the time. I haven't gotten a strike before, but I feel like this is the most confusing thing on YouTube for a creator, just hands down.
And it's crazy because a lot of times when you see that copyright claim pop up in your studio, you panic. You're like, oh my God, it's over.
My channel's canceled.
But we should first probably talk about the differences between a copyright claim and a copyright strike. But for all the other details, we actually have a YouTube lawyer. So you're going to get true and honest answers about how the YouTube copyright system works.
There's a real big difference between copyright claims and a strike. Claims, well, it can pretty much go in three different directions, and ultimately, it's just the umbrella over this money's not going to you. The content can stay out there, whatever you're being claimed for can stay in your video for most of the time. There's a little variation there, but you're not going to get paid for it. Maybe it'll get split, probably belongs to someone else who might allow you to use it, but it's not that big of a deal. This one ultimately just comes down to monetization, and if you're okay with not getting paid on it, you can pretty much leave it in the video. This is really what I do. I like to use music in my videos, and a lot of the times we're like, hey, you can't do that. Well, at least we're not going to pay you. You can do it. We're just not going to pay you for it. And then someone else collects from all my hard work. When we're talking about strikes, 3 strikes, you're out. And I feel like it is so uncommon to get a strike that we're not going to put a lot of focus on really what happens to get those strikes, because I can say I've never worked with a creator. I'll knock on wood for my creators. I've never worked with a creator who's come to me with an actual strike.
Yeah, typically those are really edge cases. They rarely happen anymore because, especially if it comes to music, you're mostly getting claimed for that, so you don't get to have the monetization, as Jen said. Strikes are typically a lot more scary, especially if you get 3 and 90 days, your channel is deleted. So, copyright claims. How does the process work? Well, Jen and I don't have to tell you. We actually have a lawyer. They can tell you. Ian Korsline has his own YouTube channel here, and he is an amazing content creator and lawyer who's been doing this stuff for over 20 years. Let's see what he has to say.
Just take you through the copyright strike process. Generally, it's initiated from what's called a DMCA takedown notice. And that means, in this world of mass media, most of the time, one of these striking companies that works for Sony Pictures, let's say, has found your content through the YouTube database, and it's decided that they want to have you take it down. A copyright strike appears on your account, and then sometimes you have 7 days to make some edits to your content to be able to take out that copyrighted content. Sometimes it's an immediate takedown, and the next step is either an appeal to YouTube or what's called a counter notification. And that's generally when I come in. I'm the guy that say, listen, Ian, what do I say in this response to the copyright strike? How can I convey that this is properly not copyright infringement? And so a lot of our discussions talks about whether or not you got permission, where did you get this clip, what was the context for this clip? That's kind of the process.
Okay, that was awesome, but let's move on to fair use. This is a term that I think we throw around YouTube all the time. What does it actually mean? To be honest, I don't even know if I know what it actually means. What I think it means is that nobody has copyright ownership over something, but I can't even say that confidently. I don't even know if that's the truth. Travis?
I think it's funny. If you're in the comments right now, leave us a comment before you watch this next section. What do you think fair use means? For me, I think fair use means that you're using copyrighted content in a way that it has been delineated in the law as being okay. But let's not try to figure out if Jen and I can give you any kind of this advice, because we're definitely going to be wrong. Let's find out what Ian has to say about what fair use really is.
You can use someone else's content in your videos without their permission if you do something that sufficiently transforms that work of art and it makes it your own. And I've said this so many times, and I know it sounds kind of made up and it sounds just unclear, but I want to get to the root of it, and really the root of it is this. If I were to show a 15-minute clip of Obi Kenobi,
Hello there.
if I were to show a 15-minute clip on my YouTube channel, would people be coming to my channel to watch that particular scene for its entertainment value? Or would they be coming there to watch me? And chances are they would not be coming to watch me. They would just want to see the Star Wars show and see what happened. If I put that 15-minute clip on my channel, I wouldn't transform it because people are not really there for me. I have to make my own art that builds upon the Star Wars show. So how do I do that? Well, under Title 17 U.S. Code Section 107, which is a federal law that's basically adopted by YouTube, it says, listen, here are some examples of de facto transformation. In other words, things that you can do which we just recognize as fair use. And one of those is commentary. And YouTube even takes it a step further, and they recognize reaction. But we'll talk about commentary first. We're talking about the law. The law basically says if you are discussing this and you are making critical opinions about Obi-Wan Kenobi and you're saying it's bad or you're saying it's good, then we want that. And frankly, a lot of the studios want it too because it boosts up the popularity of the art.
That was pretty cool, but did you know that if you're teaching something and using copyrighted material that you're still protected under fair use? Here's what Ian had to say about that.
Another one is teaching. A good example is, boy, it's hard to get Drake music in your YouTube video and not get a claim or a copyright strike, but you can if you are a beat creator and you want to teach how unique those bass drums are in Drake's music, but there's certain things you'd have to adhere to, and I want to kind of take you through those too. If you're teaching the content and people are showing up to learn about how to make a Drake song, not to listen to a Drake song, then that's transformation. News reporting is another one. We see it all the time. There's lots of people out there that are reporting on the news. I do a lot of that. I will say that there's a new little thing that's happening in the live stream area, and I'm sure you've seen, I know Emily D. Baker's been on the vidIQ channel. We're seeing mass live streaming, right? It's kind of unexplainable, but we're seeing a lot of lawyers and other people literally just putting CNN or some channel on their channel, and we're watching it together with commentary. Now, commentary is great. However, there's so many gaps between the actual copyrighted content and the commentary that we're going to probably see some problems going forward. Also, we're going to start seeing some corporations are saying, like CNN as example, we're getting 500,000 views of our content on our channels, and their streaming platform just went down. And we're seeing that Legal Bites is getting 100,000 an hour. They're trying to do their best to use some commentary, which would be honor of fair use. Critique, of course, is another concept for fair use. And then, of course, there's another category of fair use, which is just, it's not identified. It's just that it's sufficient transformation and it's a subjective determination. In other words, a judge or a jury looking at it has to make their own conclusion about whether or not that's fair use.
So that was really interesting, but a lot of people want to know how much of copyrighted content can you use without getting a claim or a strike? Jen, what do you think it is?
I've had different experiences with this, and I think it depends on the song, the artist, who owns it, how protected it is, because I've been flagged in a bar from having literally 1 second of Justin Timberlake playing in the background where they wouldn't allow that footage to be on YouTube, period. And then I've sang in the car for half a song, and someone was like, we don't really care.
Let's see what Ian says about this.
There's nowhere that this is enshrined in law. It is not in the copyright rules of YouTube. It's not in the terms of service. But I have to tell creators sometimes that a bright line rule is don't use more than 2 to 5 seconds of clips, if at all possible. If there is an exception, obviously, there is fair use with 30 seconds. There's been fair use with a minute. There has been. But if you're really trying to plan out your video and it's all about something you're reviewing, do your best to limit these clips and realize that every time you go over this amount, you're you're adding risk. So is the laugh or the teaching moment really worth the risk of, one, getting a copyright strike, getting a claim, losing all revenue for that video, or worse, getting a copyright infringement claim? So 2 to 5 seconds. That's kind of the sweet spot to be able to avoid copyright claims.
There's a concept that Ian came up with a while back, which I think is amazing, and it's called Don't Take the Heart. This is something that I've never heard anyone talk about before, and here's what he has to say about it.
You never want to take the heart of someone else's content. Whenever you're thinking about creating art that's a review style type art, let's say, again, I go back to the Star Wars thing, Luke, I am your father. You want to talk about that. Well, realize that particular part of the video where you talk, I'm your father, you can't show that scene. You're going to have to come up with animation. You're going to have to come up with images or slides, or just paint a picture with your words, because the heart is the thing that you're going to get slammed for. Always think about your content. If you're going to do a whole review of Star Wars, identify before where are the important points that you're going to hit on. If one of those important points is the heart of the movie, that part where there's a big lightsaber scene, realize that that's going to be a part you're not going to be able to put on your YouTube video. You're going to have to use the clips from the more subsidiary parts of the movie.
So that's all great, but what if you get a claim that just doesn't seem legitimate? It doesn't add up, and you're just really kind of questioning if this is really true. What do we do? Let's see if Ian has an answer for the situation.
They care about the big boys. They're making so much money, right? So sometimes people think that if they give some pushback, then YouTube's going to penalize them somehow for their next video or demonetize them. They don't have time. They really don't. So don't feel bad if you have a legitimate claim like that sounds. Like, I wrote the freaking song, I recorded it, and I got a copyright claim or a strike or whatever it ended up being. You can push back.
So you got a lot of legal advice. It didn't cost you any money, just cost you a little bit of time. But that does leave one last question. I know you're watching other YouTube channels, and I know you see them using all types of copyrighted content, and they seem to be fine. They're still running ads. Everything seems fine. Why can't you do that? From the outside looking in, there's one thing you can't tell, and that is if those videos are even being monetized by that creator. Just remember, just because you see ads on a video does not mean that that creator is A, monetizing the video, because YouTube's already told us that they can monetize non-monetized videos, and B, that they're getting any of that money. That could be going directly to the copyright holder. So sure, you can see it elsewhere, and you might see ads, but that does not mean that creator's making any money off of any of those videos.
Well, that's like when we see creators who aren't even monetized yet having ads roll in their videos. A similar situation. YouTube's in it to make their money.
If this was helpful, leave us a comment below and let us know, have you ever gotten a copyright claim or a strike? We also have an amazing video here about how to rank higher in the YouTube search algorithm. We'll see you next time.
I've been talking about this for quite a while. I found some wonderful videos to show and break this down for us. They're not super long, and it's going to break it down where you can kind of understand a little bit more about how all of this works with copyright, with defamation, and even with shadow banning. And there are things that a lot of people don't fully understand, but that impact creators every day.
We understand that getting a copyright strike can be disappointing and worrying for creators. We also know that creators often don't break the rules intentionally and just want to get back to making great content. So let's walk through a bit about what copyright strikes are so you can understand why they happen and what actions you can take when you get a strike. First, how does copyright work and what is a copyright strike? Copyright gives the creator of an original work certain exclusive legal rights to determine how it's used. That typically means you can't use someone else's videos, music, or other copyrighted work in your videos without their permission. And giving credit to the owner or using phrases and disclaimers like all rights go to the author, no infringement intended, or I do not own does not mean that you can use the content. YouTube has certain legal obligations to respond to allegations of copyright infringement when we're properly notified about it. We're also required to have a policy in place that can terminate users who repeatedly infringe on other people's copyright on YouTube. So, we set up a copyright strike system. If you get a copyright strike, it means that a rights holder requested the removal of their copyright-protected content from your video. When a copyright removal request is submitted, we review it. Then, if we determine that it appears valid, we remove the video from YouTube and issue a strike to comply with copyright law. Can a copyright strike be sent by mistake? YouTube has dedicated teams working to detect and prevent the abuse or invalid use of our tools, and we terminate tens of thousands of accounts each year that try to abuse our copyright tools. So when a copyright removal request is submitted, YouTube reviews it to make sure it has the information required and shows no signs of abuse. However, if you believe your video was taken down unfairly due to an abusive, invalid, or mistaken copyright strike, there are actions that you can take. So now, let's walk through options you have if you receive a copyright strike. You can wait for the strike to expire. Copyright strikes expire after 90 days, as long as you have less than 3 strikes. You'll also need to go through copyright school for any strike to expire. You only need to complete copyright school once, and it aims to help creators understand copyright principles and how they're enforced on YouTube. If you believe your video was taken down by mistake or due to an abusive copyright strike, you can submit a counter notification. This is a legal request for YouTube to reinstate content that was removed due to a copyright removal request. Be sure to include valid reasons for why you believe the copyright removal was unjustified. YouTube cannot determine ownership or mediate on behalf of content owners. When it comes to submitting a counter notification, here are some things you may wish to do. Document everything. Keep records of all communication, notices, and evidence you have to support your case. And understand fair use. Familiarize yourself with fair use laws and guidelines to see if it's relevant for your case. Another action you can take is to contact the claimant directly. Try reaching out to the person or entity who filed the copyright strike. It's possible they made a mistake or are willing to retract the claim. Note that you can always find more information about your copyright strike by going to YouTube Studio, then Content, then filtering by copyright, and going to the restrictions column. If your copyright issue is complex, or if you're unsure about the process, seeking legal advice may be helpful. This may also be relevant if you're concerned about disclosing your personal information to the claimant who removed your video. You may authorize a representative, like an attorney, to email a counter notification on your behalf to copyright@youtube.com. Note that if you receive 3 active copyright strikes in 90 days, your account can be terminated and your videos can be removed from YouTube. There is no warning for copyright strikes, but the first 2 strikes have no impact on your account or what features you can access. To learn more about copyright strikes, check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching.
So that video lays out how the system works, what's allowed, what's not, and what creators can do if they find themselves targeted unfairly. It's eye-opening and it's important for anyone who cares about content creation or online fairness. One thing I want to mention about copyright, a lot of creators that I watch, like Watch Mojo and some other ones, they show the original content credits as an intro or outro slide or an overlay labeling each clip that might get a strike. I have added that element into this video today, so you will see that. That is a way to help you with the copyright wars. Because when you do a bibliography, that's how you do a bibliography. You mention it by copyright. And that's just a great practice. It shows respect. It helps viewers know where the content actually is coming from. And it adds transparency. And it's really important to understand it doesn't guarantee protection from copyright strikes, but in the end, it's going to help. Your best protection comes from using content transformatively, like clips instead of full videos, and adding your own commentary, analysis, or critique. Still, always credit original sources in your videos and descriptions to support transparency.
We know that keeping your YouTube channel secure is a top priority for creators. You may never expect your channel to get hacked, but when it does happen, it can cause stress along with logistical complications. So let's walk through some common pitfalls to avoid and how to secure your channel to prevent it from being hacked. Let's start with the most common way creators get hacked, from phishing or malware scams. Phishing is when a hacker disguises themselves as someone trustworthy in emails, texts, or other means to take your personal information. Malware is malicious software that harms computer systems or their users. As part of the hacking scheme, someone will try to trick you into downloading the malware through a suspicious link so they can get access to your computer to steal your account info or data. These scams often look like emails from brands or sponsors, or imitations of official outreach emails from companies you trust. Here are things you can do to be on the lookout for these scams. Never enter your password on any page except accounts.google.com. Be sure to cross-verify brand deals and sponsorship proposals. You can do this by checking if the brand has a legitimate online presence with a professional website and active social media accounts, verifying the brand's contact information independently. Does the email address match their domain name? Is the phone number legitimate? look for the person contacting you on LinkedIn or other professional platforms. Does their profile seem genuine and consistent with the brand they represent? Or use a reverse image search to see if their profile picture is used elsewhere online. This can help identify fake accounts. Don't click links or open files from untrusted sources in emails, messages, websites, pop-ups, or in descriptions or comments on YouTube offering things like free thumbnail templates, premium editing programs, or unknown software. Don't reply to suspicious emails, texts, instant messages, web pages, or phone calls that offer things like free crypto coins, marketing assistance that requires channel access, or passwords to open encrypted files. We strongly encourage using an antivirus software to scan zipped and password-protected files before downloading. Consider enabling enhanced safe browsing before clicking or downloading files from sponsors or other users. Enhanced safe browsing for your account works automatically in the background when you're signed in. It improves your security in Chrome and Gmail by providing faster, proactive protection against dangerous websites, downloads, and extensions. You can find more info on how to enable this in our Help Center. Also remember that YouTube will never ask you for your password, and know that the official YouTube emails only come from @youtube.com or @google.com addresses. Next, let's walk through some crucial basics around account security that all creators and their channel managers should implement right away to protect your account from unwanted access. Start by going to myaccount.google.com while signed into the Google account associated with your channel. From here, go to the Security tab, then How you sign into Google. Here, be sure to turn on two-step verification. With two-step verification, you'll have a second layer of sign-in security, which is a hugely important step in preventing hacks. You can also set up passkeys for your account, which are an easier and more secure alternative to passwords, and allow you to sign in by unlocking your computer or mobile device with your fingerprint, face recognition, or a local PIN. And make sure you have a strong password that you don't share with anyone, not even your channel managers. Next, go to the Personal Info tab, then Contact Info. Here, be sure to add a recovery phone number or email for your account, ideally one that's different from what's used to sign into your Google account. That way, even if you lost your phone or someone hacked into your email, you can regain access within the shortest time possible. Be sure to go to myaccount.google.com/security-checkup for more information on how to strengthen your account and channel security. Finally, ensure you check and update channel access regularly. If you don't recognize the people managing your account may have been hacked. Be sure to remove unknown users right away and update your password to re-secure your account. Ensure you and all channel delegates have account recovery options set up. And share online security best practices before adding new people as channel managers. To summarize, you can keep your account safe by avoiding phishing and malware, activating the available account security and authentication features, and always being aware of who has access to your channel. We hope this information and taking these preventative steps help keep your channel secure from being hacked. For more information, check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching.
Did you know that seeing a sudden decrease in the amount of views that you're getting on YouTube Shorts right now, or just on YouTube in general, could be a sign that you're actually shadow banned on YouTube? Or maybe you didn't know that if your views take off just a flatline, could also be a sign that you're shadow banned. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly whether or not you're shadow banned on YouTube, and if you are, you're going to know how to fix it. In fact, this creator just went from being shadow banned to implementing the fix that I'm going to share with you in this video to gain over 50,000 subscribers in just a 30-day period. And this creator was able to do the same thing, except they went from being shadow banned to getting over 100,000 subscribers in just 30 days. And if you want results like that, you need to make sure that you stick around for the end of this video, because the last tip that I share with you makes the most creators go from struggling to get views, being shadow banned, or maybe even thinking that they're shadow banned, to boom, being able to get all the views that they want simply by implementing one fix. First and foremost, we need to cover whether or not you're actually shadow banned. And in order to do this, I've created a 3-step test that if you pass this test, it probably means that you're shadow banned. So please, this isn't like one of your regular tests that you might take to get a driver's license or for school or for work for a new certification. This is a test that you ideally don't want to end up passing. You want to fail this test because that means that you're not shadow banned on YouTube. So step number 1 is that you're getting more than 20% of people swiping away from your content. If more than 20% of people are swiping away from your content, it is a sign that you're not shadow banned. So if you have less than 20% of people swiping away consistently, it's probably a sign that you might be shadow banned if you're still not getting the views that you want. The second thing that you need to pay attention to is your average view duration. If the video is less than 30 seconds long and your average view duration is over 100%, but you're still not getting views, could be a sign that you're shadow banned. The second thing is videos that are over 30 seconds long. So if your video is over 30 seconds long and your average view duration is over 80%, again, this could be a sign that you're shadow banned if you also pass the third test, and that third test is that there's actually a very large audience for whatever you're creating content on. Because what most creators fail to realize is that, one, their swipe rate is way too high for YouTube to actually push out their content. Secondly, their average view duration is way too low for YouTube to push out their content. And third, if they're able to do those two things right, there just might not be a very large audience for the piece of content they're creating, because you could have the best video in the world, but if YouTube doesn't know who to actually show that content to, well, then this is going to be one of the reasons that you're failing to get views. Now, if you still think that you're shadow banned, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can fix that. But first, I need you to smash that subscribe button. If you want to go click on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, I literally upload a video every single day about how to grow on these platforms. In addition to that, you could be doing everything right, but if you're posting at the wrong time on YouTube, it could decrease the views that you're getting in the first 24 hours. So please go to the pinned comment below and sign up for my free YouTube growth course. It's going to share with you things, the best time to post on YouTube and the best hashtags to use, which, by the way, have recently changed. And for those of you that are seeing their views skyrocket just to completely die off, there's actually a really good reason for that. And the reason for that is because YouTube actually seeds an audience for creators that don't have a very large audience. So a creator like myself, over 600,000 subscribers, YouTube generally knows who they should be showing my content to, unless I create a piece of content that's outside of the realm of the niche that I've currently been targeting. If I do that, I'm probably going to fall into the same bucket that you guys are falling into, which is that YouTube is trying to seed your content with an audience so that they can determine whether or not people are actually interested in it. And when they seed that audience, if you are not hitting the swipe rate they want you to hit, or not getting the swipes that they want you to get, or you are not hitting the average view duration, well, it's probably going to be one of the reasons that your video just completely dies off. But implementing the next three things I'm going to share with you will fix that. And remember, the last thing I'm going to share with you makes by far the most people blow up after understanding it. Fix number one, if your swipe rate is over 20%, we need to immediately fix this, and there are three ways that you could do this. First and foremost, you need to work on the hook of your content. You need to make sure that whatever you're talking about in your content is going to stop somebody in their tracks, and it needs to be something that really gets their attention. For example, you need to be calling them out, and you need to make this fear-based or curiosity-based, because if you literally just give away the point of the video in the first 3 seconds of the video, then nobody has any reason for them to watch it. For example, instead of making a video about how to get bigger biceps, you should be making a video that if you're not doing this bicep exercise, it's the reason that you still have small biceps, because now somebody is actually curious about what you're going to tell them within the video, and now they need to watch the video all the way through, and they're not going to swipe away because they don't want to miss the opportunity for them to get bigger biceps. Now, I understand that was very specific to the fitness niche. You can tie that same principle to anything that you're going to create content about, and if you're able to invoke somebody's curiosity in the first 3 seconds, boom, it's going to increase the odds that they actually keep watching the video. Two other things that you could be doing to increase this rate is, one, adding captions to the beginning of your content or text on the screen, and making sure that you have a voiceover. A lot of creators are starting off their content with silence or starting off their content with music, and this doesn't make somebody want to watch the content unless you have something really compelling as text on the screen, in which case doing a voiceover is only going to make that better and decrease that swipe rate even further. But we can't stop there, because you also need to be fixing your average view duration. For videos that are less than 30 seconds long, it needs to be 100%. For videos that are over 30 seconds long, it needs to be at least 80%. And there are three core things that you could be doing to make this better. First and foremost, you need to work on your storytelling. Each part of the video needs to keep people watching. One huge mistake that I see a lot of small channels make is they sign off on their video about 70% of the way through. If somebody begins to feel that your video is about to end, guess what they're going to do? They're going to swipe away, and this is going to kill your average view duration. Secondly, you need to make sure that you're changing the clip or what's showing up on the screen every 3 to 4 seconds. You need to make sure that you're adding B-roll, because if you're not doing that, people are going to get bored, and you're probably just going to be telling them something. Instead, you need to be showing and telling. Do you see all the different graphics that I have popping up all the time, or the different stock footage that I have popping up? The reason that I'm doing this is because it keeps your attention, keeps you watching all the way through, so that ideally you get to the last part of this video, which is is the thing that could blow up your channel if you make sure that you're implementing it. And the third thing that you need to be doing is what I just did right there. You need to constantly be alluding to the big payoff at the end of the video, because if people don't feel that there's a big payoff, well, guess what? They're not going to keep watching the video, and it is going to tank the amount of watch time that you're getting or your average view duration. That is going to be the reason that you fail to grow on YouTube right now. Or it might be that you're failing to actually qualify whether or not there's a large audience for that piece of content you're creating. Because here's the deal. All YouTube is trying to do is show people content that's going to keep them on the platform. The number one thing that YouTube looks for within that is whether or not people are interested in the topic that you're actually creating content for. And you could choose the right topic, but if your framing on that topic is off, it's going to significantly decrease the amount of views that you get. For example, if you made a video about how to get a snatched waist or made a video about how to get skinny, guess which one's going to get a lot more views? That snatched waist one is actually going to get a lot more views because it's contextual to what people are searching for and what people are watching. And you need to understand just a one-word difference in your title or in the hook of your content or in the topic or framing of your content could actually be the difference between YouTube thinking that they have an audience for your content and YouTube not knowing whether or not they have an audience for your content. Another thing that you need to make sure that you're doing is writing a description, and you need to make sure that you're choosing really good tags. The two reasons that you want to do this for is so that it makes it really, really easy for YouTube to understand who exactly they should be showing your content to, so that the initial seed audience that your content gets shown to is the right audience, so that you get the right swipe rate, or rather not a lot of people swiping, and getting the right average view duration. Because if you don't do all three of those things in conjunction with each other, guess what's going to happen? Your video is going to die off, and you're ultimately going to think that you're shadow banned. Now, what if I told you that you growing on YouTube could be way easier than what you're doing right now? Because the reason that you're failing to grow is you don't know what time to post, you don't know what hashtags to use, you don't know what to create content about, and ultimately, you don't know what you don't know. And that's exactly why I want to look at your channel, tell you exactly what you need to do, from what you need to change in your content, to what titles you need to use, to what topics you should be covering, to the times you should be posting, and so much more. In fact, I guarantee that if you implement the advice that I'm going to share with you, you'll get more subscribers in the next 30 days, or you get your money back, 0 questions asked. Now, if that sounds interesting to you and you're ready to get serious about being able to get monetized on YouTube or making more money from YouTube, then please keep watching this video, because I've got a special offer for you. The opportunity to grow on YouTube and this organic reach that we're currently seeing is not going to last forever. And there are two things holding you back right now. The first one is that you haven't implemented everything that I just shared with you in this video. And the second is that you haven't gotten into my YouTube mentorship program yet, which literally is going to guarantee that I help you get more subscribers on YouTube in the next 30 days, or you get your money back, 0 questions asked. In fact, the average person that's gone through this program in the last 30 days has gained over 31,000 subscribers. And the lowest amount of subscribers anybody has ever gained is 1,000 subscribers if they implement everything that I share with them in this video. If you want results like that, please go to the link in the description below and sign up right now. Because if you're still watching this video, I'm going to guess that you're above average. So the odds of you getting over 31,000 subscribers is probably quite high. And if you don't remember, you need 1,000 subscribers in order to get monetized on YouTube. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to make more money from YouTube and for you to set yourself up to become a full-time YouTuber. In fact, I'm going to tell you exactly what to post, when to post, what hashtags to use, again, to guarantee to get more subscribers on YouTube. If you don't get more subscribers, I will give you your money back, 0 questions asked. And it doesn't matter what your background is or what your niche is. This program is designed to help you get more subscribers faster and easier. Ultimately, it's going to get you more subscribers or your money back. This creator just went through it and gained over 100,000 subscribers. This creator over 150,000 subscribers, and this creator over 400,000 subscribers. And I want you to be my next success story, and I want you to be the next person that makes a full-time living from YouTube. So please go to the link in the description below, sign up right now. You literally have absolutely nothing to lose. You're going to get more subscribers or you're going to get your money back. If you're not interested in those two things, please watch the next 2 videos I put up on the screen, because they're the videos YouTube thinks you should watch next. Thank you so much for watching.
And yeah, I just found this one really interesting with the shadow banning, and then also on how it ties into building a channel. But I would like to add, if you are a small channel like me, you just got started, the rules in this, how this is built up for your channel, are going to be a little bit different. With the shadow banning, yes, it can happen to the small channels. It is happening to small channels because people are doing it purposefully out of almost like cyber crimes. You know, for real, it's going on. They're doing it to hack and to try to take somebody down and silence them. It's a crime. You're taking away somebody's First Amendment in the United States if you were doing that. Just keep that in mind. Food for thought.
I hope this finds you well. Today we're going to look at the common law rule for defamation and how slander and libel play into the defamation rule. The landmark Supreme Court case is New York Times versus Sullivan. We won't go too in-depth with New York versus Sullivan in this video, but I do intend to create a case brief for New York Times versus Sullivan in the near future. So let's look at the elements of defamation. There's either 4 or 6 elements when trying to prove defamation. Your regular run-of-the-mill defamation is only 4 elements, and when the defamation concerns a matter of public concern, well, then you get the 2 other layers of defamation. So here are the elements. There first must be defamatory language. It must be of and concerning the plaintiff, which is the person bringing suit. Publication of that defamatory statement by the defendant to a third person. And then there must be damage to the plaintiff's reputation. As I previously said, if the matter is of public concern, meaning something that the public would find value in, then 2 other elements must be proved, and that is falsity of the defamatory language and fault on the part of the defendant. So let's look at each element and break it down. When it comes to defamatory language, the meaning of defamation is anything that really harms a person's reputation. Next, we come to the of and concerning the plaintiff. The defamatory statement must relate to the plaintiff. It can't be about the plaintiff's sister, the plaintiff's brother. It has to be about the plaintiff. And there's an interesting little side twist in there when it comes to groups. So a group can bring a lawsuit for defamation if a defamatory statement refers to all members of a small group. A good number to keep in mind is about 15 people or so. If the statement is about a large group, then no member can really prove that the statement is of and concerning them. And finally, if the statement is about some members of a small group, well, then the person bringing the defamation claim may be able to show that a reasonable person could view the statement as pertaining to the plaintiff. Next, we come to publication. Publication is really a term of art. It doesn't necessarily require that the statement be posted on the internet or written or published in a book. It's really any kind of communication by any method when it's communicated to one or more people who actually understand it. So if you're at a party and everybody in that party speaks English, except you and your friend who speak Portuguese, and you scream out in Portuguese something defamatory about your friend, well, you did publicize it, you did make a publication, and it was to a third person, but it wasn't able to be understood. And publication can either be intentional or negligent. Intentional publication is where the defendant's intent was to defame this person. They intentionally spoke something or wrote something about the plaintiff. Negligent publication, for example, occurs when an individual types up a defamatory email intending just to save it on their computer, let's just say. Well, mistakenly, they press send and it goes to the whole entire company. Just an example. And then you must show damage to the plaintiff's reputation. Now, this is where our slander or libel comes in. The easy way to remember the difference is I like to look at the S and take the S in slander, and that's how I keep them separate in my mind. Slander is spoken, while libel is written defamation. And whether the defamatory language is slander or libel really goes to the heart of damages and what kind of damages that the plaintiff can recover. So for libel, which is our written defamation, the plaintiff does not need to prove any kind of special damages or general damages. Now, that's not the same for slander. When it comes to slander, which is our spoken defamation, the plaintiff's going to have to prove special damages, unless that defamation, that slander, falls into one of 4 categories or one of 4 types. The first type being that the defamation reflects adversely on business or professional conduct. The second being that someone has a loathsome disease. The third, that someone is guilty of a common law crime or a crime of moral turpitude. And finally, it's defamatory to accuse a woman of being unchaste at common law. Okay, so our other two elements, the falsity and fault, come into play when there's a matter of public concern at the heart of that defamatory statement. You still must prove the four elements we just spoke about, but then you have to ask yourself, can the plaintiff prove that the defamation was false? If they can, then you have to prove fault on the part of the defendant. Here's where it gets a little hairy. If the plaintiff is a public figure or some sort of public official, then this is where the New York Times versus Sullivan comes in. You have to prove actual malice on the part of the defendant. If it's a private individual, someone unknown to anyone, well, you can either prove there was actual malice on the defendant's part or there was negligence on the defendant's part. So that's how we prove defamation. But there are some defenses the defendant can raise, and these are known as privileges. So our absolute privileges are the executive privilege, and this concerns communications by the president as well as some other members of his executive branch. Judicial privileges, and these are protections from comments by a judge or a lawyer or parties or witnesses, but the comments must be made and related to the case, the ongoing case. And then there's the legislative privilege, and this privilege applies to the legislative branch of government. For example, if the speaker is participating in a legislative proceeding. And then you have your qualified privileges, and there's three of the qualified privileges as well. You have a privilege to protect yourself, protect others, or protect a group or common interest. When protecting yourself, the speaker may make a statement in order to protect their own personal interests. For example, if you're walking down the street and someone picks your pocket, or you believe someone picked your pocket, and you point to someone in a crowd and say, "That man stole my wallet." Well, you may be mistaken, but you had a privilege because you were protecting your personal interest. You have a privilege when you protect others, when the speaker is actually trying to protect some other person's interest. For example, a lady thinks she saw someone steal your wallet, and she says in a crowd, "Hey, that man just stole his wallet." Finally, there's a protection for the group or common interest. And this occurs when the speaker makes a statement to protect the group that he or she is a member of. And this can occur with your resumes and references. All of these qualified privileges kind of fall into that protecting interests. Finally, the qualified privileges can be lost, and they can be lost when they are abused, such as excessive publication or making a statement with malice. Then they're not going to apply anymore. Thanks for watching.
YouTube, it isn't just a platform. Maybe it is the Wild West out here on the streets of YouTube land. You've got all the players, alliances, the showdowns, and the chaos. Sometimes it feels like a dusty town with tumbleweeds rolling by while the next showdown's about to erupt. And yeah, Maggie's group is just one of the posse in this wild frontier. They're not a posse. They're just a group. Yeah, and Maggie, your group is just one of the many out here. And then we've got, outlaws and sheriffs and bystanders and everybody else that was in the wild frontier. It really is kind of like the Wild West, if you think about it. So, we have is a showdown. So I'm still addressing some of the Maggie-related stuff, and I want you to really listen here. It is not just her, but it's also the people who are around her. The ones who stay quiet, the ones who are egging things on behind the scenes, or maybe even helping make the decisions behind the scenes. And then the ones who pretend they're neutral, while deep down they're the ones stirring the pot. I don't want to just do content on Maggie or this drama forever. I don't want to make content off of Maggie. That's not my goal in any of this. But I've been watching and calling out things for the past few months. I've followed these community conflicts since August and seen this snowballing to this point. Several of us have. In August, when I started watching with Danny Robinson. But I want to be clear. This isn't about Maggie or Danny or anyone in any of their groups. Because there are multiple others out here causing chaos and drama all across the YouTube streets. Maggie's just happens to be the one I got involved with and I happen to see the most of. I keep finding content today all day long from people I hadn't even heard of before, and all kinds of wild stuff I'd never seen before today. And I wonder if some of you ever have either, because it didn't have very many views on the video. And I watched and I listened really closely because what I look for is background info when I do a deep dive. When you look at the background and you look really, really close, that's where you find a lot of information. And I'm not a detective in real life, but this is how I think and how I've, I guess, trained my own brain to think, to critically think and really look at the background. Because when you, some of these behaviors going on, there are some interesting things going on in the background of the video. There are some interesting things going on in the background in the chats and in all of the emails and all of the communications between all the different sides. I mean, it's really a mess. There's way more drama than you know is going on. There's so much drama. And when someone makes bold-faced lies about another person, Maggie, that's defamation. It's not just hurtful. It can cause real damage to someone's reputation, mental health, and even their livelihood. Defamation is a legal matter with victims who have the right to take action to protect themselves and seek justice. What's especially troubling is when these falsehoods are weaponized. When someone pauses conveniently on an unflattering or ugly shot, or deliberately freezes on the moment that casts a person in the worst possible light, it's done on purpose. And then they leave that up there for hours, it's done on purpose. Sometimes it's days and everybody's ridiculing and mocking and humiliating that person in public. This is why I take things down, because I don't want somebody's mistake to be out there forever. It shouldn't define you if you just make a mistake. And worse still, if defamatory content includes doxing, sharing private, sensitive, or identifying information without consent, or showing pictures of innocent children or illegal pictures of pornography, this crosses a serious line. Doxing isn't just a violation of privacy, it's a form of harassment that can put people's safety at risk. Depending on the laws in place, doxing can be criminal behavior, especially when used to intimidate, threaten, or cause harm. It's not only against YouTube's policies, but it can lead to legal consequences beyond the platform. So yeah, I have a couple more things beyond here. Promise you later on it's going to be good. I want to know what you guys want me to cover next. I'm ready to get away from all of this stuff. I will stay in it until I need to back out. But I want to know in the chat or in the comments, would you like to see things about like real war? I deep dive the deep stuff, maybe in Iran and Israel, in the Middle East with Israel and Hamas and Palestine, with Afghanistan, with Russia and Ukraine. I've looked at a bunch of these different war conflicts that are going on and the actual deep stuff behind them. It's very interesting looking decades back and how we got to where we are now. And then I also have been thinking I gotta finish Bonnie Parker. I still got Miss Bonnie. She's about halfway done. I've got one on Mary for In Her Sandals, but that one's a completely different channel and completely different content, so I will finish that one eventually. And then I just have had all kinds of ideas just popping in my brain, and I just don't have all of the, or just if there's anything else that you can think of that you would like me to do a video on. I even watched WNBA, got my fever, and there's a lot in WNBA that's going on that is racism as well. The protests that are going on around the U.S. with ICE, I have a very different opinion of some of that because of where I am located. And my area is a little bit different with some of that than others. I see things a little bit different sometimes. I think you've gotten to know that about me. And then, yeah, just tell me what you want. And that said, I, though, will still defend innocent people. I will call out the scams, and I will do my part in this cyber war battle because it's bigger than just drama. And if I can help just one person, my time's been worth it. But I might actually bust some teapots soon. This little video's funny. This designer here, she accidentally breaks all of someone's teapots. So here, just watch.
Probably the worst moment for me, well, definitely the worst moment, and probably any designer on changing rooms, has to be when I built a floating shelf unit 14 floors up in a flat in Wandsworth. It was to house a very beautiful collection of antique teapots, and the idea was this thing just was in the middle of the room. I mean, it was going to be absolutely great, and it should have looked wonderful, of course, but I mean, I'm painting such a great picture because, of course, the whole thing ended in complete disaster. Right, girls, this is what it's all about. This is our freestanding shelving unit.
Which
shelves? Oh! I thought you was going to be expert.
Shut up! Is that better?
No.
Is it heavy?
Yes.
Good.
Oh, me dun.
Only seconds after finishing in Linda's room, disaster struck. The added weight of all those books proved too much for the freestanding shelves.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. That is all that teapots.
Oh, no.
That is all that teapots.
Oh, no. I don't know, Andy. I think we just have to put our hands up on this one.
I don't believe this.
Oh, no, I'm crying now. It's the books. We shouldn't have put the books on. I think you better go sit down and we better tidy this up.
The combination of 2 days' hard work and the shock of what had just happened hit Jane and Karen like a body blow.
I'm really sorry that I've put you under this stress, because it's nothing to do with you at all. You wanted a corner cabinet. I gave you a nice hanging modern shelf, okay? It's not anything to do with you. It's my fault entirely, and I'm going to take responsibility for that. And I'm going to meet Clodagh and tell her exactly what's happened, okay? And I'm really sorry I've put you through this. I am so sorry. And I will take the rap.
And so it was time for Linda to deliver the bad news to Clodagh.
Yeah, see, the funny thing is they could be purposely spilled the same way, to that lady's credit, the lady was very sincerely apologizing like a true professional. That is how you do a true apology and take responsibility for your actions like an adult who is a professional. You'll want to see later on how this all ties in. So I'm going to leave you with this. There's a lot more to defamation conversation than most people realize, and I've been paying very close attention. I have receipts, I have timelines, I have policy knowledge, but more importantly, I know how to separate what's messy from what's actually malicious. So keep your notifications on, because when I drop the video later this evening, you will get that ding 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 bell. It's going to explain why this isn't just YouTube drama. It's really something deeper, and I have some demands that I need to have met by Maggie Queequels-Germain and her group towards me. Thank you for hanging with me today. Power outages and all. My mom life, my messy YouTube everywheres. I appreciate you being here. I will see you guys in the comments. I will see you later tonight for my full drop. And this is your girl, Just Teresa. Everybody have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night. We are all doing one of those out in this big old universe. I will catch you on the flip.
Dying, shouldn't hurt you hear I'm crying. Can you practice what you preach? Would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us in some kind